Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News Show. I've got some big news to talk about today. Two of my website sponsors and report sponsors have struck a deal to merge into one company, and Christina McCarthy represents Paycore Minerals, who will be bought out by i-80 Gold in this announced transaction. Christina, congratulations.
Thank you, Allan. It's pretty exciting. I think this, it's a very positive transaction for Paycore shareholders. It's an all-share transaction. It's based on a 36% premium to the 20-day VWAP, or 26% premium to the previous close. And I think that, first, right off the bat, Paycore shareholders get increased liquidity and obviously a pretty nice premium right off the bat.
A nice premium in a company that I would strongly make the case that looks like it could be a multi-billion-dollar company of the future. And at the point of doing this transaction, it's trading well under $1 billion. So certainly sounds like there's a lot of blue sky for i-80 Gold and subsequently the shareholders of Paycore that get shares in i-80.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the positives for sure. With Paycore shareholders will now have exposure to all of i-80's assets, and they are now becoming one of the largest landholders in Nevada. This particular area of Ruby Hill has put out some of the best results in the market over the past few months and over the past year, really, some of the highest grades. And now Paycore shareholders will be able to continue the success of FAD through i-80, building it, and also, more exposure to their assets and all of their infrastructure, including an autoclave and a processing facility for when FAD is at the stage of being ready to be processed.
Okay, so let's start just with the direct Eureka area. There's about, with the consolidation, i-80 has found, first of all, at Ruby Deeps and the 426 zone, and now underneath the old Archimedes pit, they have what I think could be a world-class gold project. Very handsome grades, thickness, continuity. And then that's to the west of the pit and under it. And then to the south of the Archimedes pit, they've found this exceptional CRD mineralization at their hilltop zone that has high grades of silver, lead, and zinc, as well as an overprint of high-grade gold. Then you go 20 to about 2,000 meters or so away, and you guys have found the same kind of thing. High-grade CRD mineralization with the overprint of high-grade gold. And in between those two deposits is a big geophysical anomaly that I'm very excited about, because it looks like it could be the source of what you guys have on your side of the fence and they have on their side of the fence. And now you get exposure to that big geophysical anomaly.
That's right. And they have 6 drills on it right now on their property. We have 2 drills that will begin drilling in the next week. And, like you said, there's a lot of between FAD and between their discovery. And I'll note that it's not even just one CRD discovery. They have discovered multiple CRD.
3.
Yeah.
And a skarn.
More than that. And it's interesting too, because, there's a lot of, it's every single hole that they have drilled, they have actually hit high grade. 4H is one of the, I think it's Ewan's favorite target. And then Hilltop is, I believe, Tyler's, which is the geologist over there. But between FAD and those targets is all unexplored. And all of those structures run through our projects. And so there's a lot of opportunity for them to continue south towards our border and
beyond.
Yeah, I mean, there's this area has, is a world-class CRD district. It's just not very well known because it's Nevada. Most people would think it's got to be in New Mexico or potentially Arizona, or even Western Alaska is another one. But it's interesting to find that all of this CRT mineralization just in this district alone. And I'll note it was previously owned by Barrick. So Barrick was very focused on gold mining and gold exploration, mostly gold mining. And it was overlooked largely because there was never really been a technical base metal group to focus on this and do the work on this until we've sort of revived this district in the last 2 years.
You know, what was also interesting is you and the i-80 and Paycore had a webinar or conference call, if you will, to discuss this transaction. And Jim Gowans had some comments on there. And this is an important thing because, as you said, this might not be as well known because it's in Nevada. But Jim ran Arizona Mining that found a CRD and then got bought out for $2 billion Canadian, and has nothing but glowing stuff to say about the quality of this CRD network. And he knows what those look like when they're mining targets.
That's right. And that was the largest deposit in the world. And if you look at the quote that he put in the press release today announcing the transaction, he noted that this is shaping up to be among the highest grade CRDs deposits system in the world. And that's exciting because it's only just, as I said, it's only just been begun to have exploration work done on it in the last 2 years. So there's, a lot, I think, a lot of work to do, a lot of those geophysical anomalies to test. And I think that the next few years will really prove to be something of, it's when I think about how's this good for shareholders, there's obviously the package, i-80's land package to the north, our land package to the south, but together we make up a district play. Well, I think at this point, when you own a district scale like this, that's what can be appealing to major companies, major mining companies. And I think that with these type of grades, I mean, we're putting out some of the highest grade results, exploration results
anywhere in the world,
resource sector right now. So I think that that's got to be appealing to some of the majors out there.
Well, in reality, Christina, it's really been getting more attention since about November. At that point, i-80 Gold announced a remarkable hit of the CRD with, I think, about 60 grams of gold in it and high-grade silver as well. And right around that same time, you guys announced some drill results, and it started to get a lot of market attention. But we're kind of still really early in this emergence of the Eureka trend, or re-emergence, as an important CRD district.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
So one thing that's got me really excited, Christina, is, you got to follow the network of structures, because that's how the fluids make their way up through the cracks in the earth towards the surface. Then you need the right kind of rocks that's permeable enough for those fluids to make their way into. And then, of course, you need that high-grade mineralization. And they've got it at Hilltop. Couple thousand meters away, they've got it you got it at FAD, and then there's still a couple thousand more meters of that network of the right kind of faulting and permeable rock. But right again, I want to go back to right in between it, your Hilltop, or the Hilltop, and your FAD is this big geophysical anomaly that sits right on key faults.
That's right. That's right. I mean, you need the structure. It's structure and the host rock for these types of deposits.
And the phenomenal mineralization.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting to see such high grade, and that it's just been sort of left dormant and inactive for so many decades. And you see that many times. You see that we've seen it so many times with projects that, um, apologies, that's
Uh-oh.
my phone. It's been ringing off the hook all morning, as you might imagine.
The cores.
But, and all in all, I think that this district is really going to attract some attention from, a lot of the industry and the grades that have been coming out of it. And I'm really curious to see how the historical program goes. As you know, we'll continue it on, and I believe the i-80 plans to continue it as well, because keep in mind there's all those old buildings of historical core that we only recently found before Christmas, and we are in the process of logging all of those holes right now. And we have, several hundred feet of that old core in the lab right now to test what did the old timers miss. So lots of opportunity
And
to say
you also brought up a historical intersection that was never followed up, going towards the northern part of your claim boundary, that suggests that FAD has a lot of open to the north.
Yeah, that's right. I could show you a map. I'll share my screen and show you a map here, just for those that aren't familiar.
Okay.
Got a lot of windows open on my screen right now, so just
while you're doing that, I also wanted to mention that on the geophysical front, right below the Archimedes pit, is a geophysical anomaly that i-80 thinks could be the porphyry, which might be the whole heat engine for everything in the camp. Now you guys have exposure to that as well.
That's right. I'll start with the district scale here so you can kind of understand. So here's i-80, here's the Archimedes pit, the hilltop discoveries right around in here. The green is Paycore, so you can see how close that this boundary is, and the fault systems run this way and then this way. And then, there's also multiple cross structures all in here that sort of can also run like out this way. So there's several opportunities to test between the pit and between the FAD shaft. This is all unexplored area right here. And again, we only just recently identified the Jackson Holly fault as a new target based off of the discovery that i-80 had next door. I believe it was in late August or early September. They had so many discoveries, it's hard to pin down which one it was, but they announced what was called their Bonanza CRD discovery, and it's all right in this area. So you look at this map now, and shareholders will now have massive land package potential here and exposure to a much greater district. And when you look at the consensus of the analysts, there's five analysts. I mean, I think that there's 7 analysts that cover i-80, and Ruby Hill is ranked with the highest valuation of all of their projects. And I think that it's pretty exciting to see that there's a lot of thoughts going into this. i-80 has sort of refocused all of their exploration really at Ruby Hill. So obviously it makes sense why this was such a compelling transaction for them to be able to own the district in a more massive type of scale.
Another benefit for you guys is that they've got advanced permits, they're permitting more, they've got the infrastructure to mine it. So this gives the shareholders of Paycore, a bunch of steps closer to actually mining if it keeps hanging in the way it has been.
Yeah, that certainly does.
Now, another thing that's, it's quite interesting that those analysts have been saying that priority has changed in the last few months. In 2022, i-80 started out with their #1 project being Granite Creek. And at Granite Creek, they've got an exceptional situation. They've got the South Pacific zone that now has a strike length of about 600 meters. It's open at depth, and it's open to the north. And as you follow the fault and the rock packages up to the north, you run into a 25 million ounce gold deposit. So certainly in Elephant Country, and what they've already established is that it's got great continuity to it. It's open at depth and along strike. But what's also interesting about Granite Creek is as you go deeper, the grades are getting higher. And so you're sitting in Elephant Country in the right kind of rock, right kind of structure, getting awesome mineralization. And now the Paycore shareholders get exposure to that as well.
Yeah, all of their infrastructure, all of the properties, their infrastructure on, I mean, they recently announced in November that they plan to convert their current leach mill operations to a base metal operation, which will produce a silver lead zinc concentrate. That's huge for Paycore, because that is a capital expenditure that the shareholders will no longer have to endure. And obviously that's a massive capital structure. So when you think about now, I mean, the synergies of both of these deposits, and that scoping study is moving ahead, and that infrastructure will be right next door. It certainly makes Paycore shareholders a lot. It's having i-80's infrastructure is going to be very accretive for shareholders.
Well, let's look at it on the Lassonde curve, Christina. You would get the first big bump because of exploration success. Then there would be a long period of the development discount window. And i-80 has a bunch of projects that are well into that development discount window and basically getting turned on. And as an i-80, this has the potential of being phenomenal free cash flow generator that can go into quickly into production, and you get exposure to that.
That's right. Yeah,
And
I think that shareholders should be very happy with the transaction. Certainly there's many reasons, and obviously the most being, you know, your immediate liquidity. They trade on the NYSE, so you have broader exposure to the US market. Certainly the most important is the district scale play that we have here now. And I think, again, with being more attractive to the major mining companies now that this land package is so big. So I think that shareholders should be quite happy about the transaction.
well, I'm certainly happy at having both of you guys on as sponsors of my shows, and I've been able to bang the drum hard on this area from very early, and now great things happening for both of you guys.
Yeah, you know, you and Downey said it on the call this morning. I'm very happy with, and you know, I would completely echo what he said, that you've been a great supporter of our stock. You got in very early. I think for us, you probably the first outside of, you know, just, you know, regular investors. And so that was really great to have your support there. You made a call really early. You were right. So it's really good to have your support, and both Ewan and I thank you for that.
Oh, well, thank you guys very much for making me look like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay, and we didn't even talk about Cove. I mean, that's 1 million ounces of over 10 grams per ton gold. That's going to be a future mine as well. So the shareholders get interest in that as well.
That's right. I mean, they have collectively some of the best projects, I think, and shareholders will have exposure to all of that. But and most importantly, you know, it's a great team over there as well. I mean, they're ex-Barrick guys. They're guys that know how to execute, and a very well-established group. So I think we're all in good hands.
Absolutely. Well, did you have anything to close on? I think we covered a lot, Christina.
We have, again, just wanted to thank you for your support, and hope that, you know, one day we'll work together again. It'll be exciting to see the next. I'm certainly going to be looking at more Nevada-based projects, and but we'll work together again soon.
Good on you, Christina. Thank you very much for the kind words about the report. I'm going to close it off and we can have a chat at the other end.
For sure.
There you go, folks. I think this is a transformational transaction for both companies. The shareholders of Paycore will now get shares in i-80 Gold. I've said it before and I'll say it right now. I believe i-80 Gold has the pathway that's similar to me to the early days of Barrick Gold. And Ewan, when I mentioned that to him in the past, made sure to remind me that he didn't think that at this stage, Barrick had a world-class deposit. In the case of i-80 Gold, I think they have a world-class project at Granite Creek and possibly 2 world-class projects at Ruby Hill and maybe 2A. The gold system that's to the west and underneath the Archimedes pit, the CRD to the south, the big anomaly that sits right on key structures. And then on the other side of that anomaly, now they've got what Paycore has. And all of this is combined in a company that has the infrastructure needed to mine these deposits and have advanced permits and plenty of blue sky ahead of them. So I think it's a win-win for everybody. And as always, my shows are for information purposes only. Important for you to speak with your financial advisors and do your homework. And on that note, have a great day and we'll talk to you soon.